I say there are things better left unsolved.
Who knows what waits for us in nature's no man's land?
Impossible, unbelievable, fantastic. But I tell you, it could happen. It could happen. It could happen. It could happen.
Yes, it could happen. For various authorities believe that buried somewhere under the polar ice cap, in a state of suspended animation, are the awesome creatures, the leviathans that roamed the earth at the dawn of time. And under certain conditions, a nuclear explosion could free one from his icy tomb. Then, guided by instinct, the beast would come back to the caverns of the deepest Atlantic where it was spawned. An armored giant, wreaking his prehistoric fury on modern man and his puny machines. Cities would be terrorized by the cruel intruder from the past. Populations crazed and panicked with fear by its destructive force. Granite and steel would crumble. Soldiers and their weapons would be powerless before the onslaught of the beast. The beast. The beast. The beast from 20,000 fathoms.
Herald Square, 34th Street, Broadway. Every section of the city is guarded. No one knows where the monster will strike next.
Another one, Colonel?
No.
You know what the radioactive isotope is?
No, but if it can be loaded, I can fire it.
I'll load it. Just remember one thing. This is the only isotope of its kind this side of Oak Ridge, so you can't miss.
Start the day with a song and sing the whole day through. Even while you're busy working, do just like the birdies do. Though the day may be long, you never will go wrong. Off key, on key, any old key, just start the day with a song. beautiful sea. You and I, oh how happy we'll be.
How about joining in and singing with us? Just follow me.
By the sea, by the sea, by the beautiful sea, you and I, oh how happy we'll be. When each wave comes a-rolling in, we will duck or swim, and we'll float and pull around the water, over and under, and then up for air. My is rich, so now what do we care? I love to be beside the side, beside the sea, beside the seaside, by the beautiful sea. Joe and Jane were always together, and both of them liked nice summer weather, so Sunday morning off they would be, at break of dawn, down to the sea. Jane looked very sweet in her bathing suit. Joe would say, oh Jane, you are awfully cute. Then he'd grab her hand, say, oh boy, you're grand. Gee, I'm glad to be by the sea, by the sea, by the beautiful sea. You and I, oh how happy we'll be. When each wave comes a-rolling in, we will duck or swim, and we'll float and pull around the water, over and under, and then up for air. My is rich, so now what do we care? I love to be beside your side, beside the sea, beside the seaside, by the beautiful sea.
Now let's have a contest. Boys first.
Joe looked forward all week to Sunday, 'cause he knew that day was just the one day when he would feel like a millionaire. No work that day, free as the air. Jane was just as happy on Sunday, 'cause that was one day, really was fun day, and to the beach she'd go with her handsome Joe, with quickly. By the sea, by the sea, by the beautiful sea, you and I, oh how happy we'll be. When each wave comes a-rolling in, we will duck or swim, and we'll float and pull around the water, over and under, and then up for air. My is rich, so now what do we care? I love to be beside your side, beside the sea, beside the seaside, by the beautiful sea.
Years away, I approach your planet. The birds of the air, the animals of the forest, they shall be my ears and my eyes. And because I see your most secret acts, you will know me as the beast with 1,000,000 eyes.
From worlds beyond comes a weird and wanton intelligence, a beast with 1,000,000 eyes, making of a woman's dog her attacker, setting afire flames of wild desire, making of a man's friend a violator of every code of decency, guilty of acts you'll never believe. See a man fight against supernatural forces for the girl he loves. See a beast with 1,000,000 eyes control a ship from outer space. One of the most fantastic terror thrills the screen has ever brought you. See the beast with 1,000,000 eyes.
Good evening, goblins and ghouls, and welcome to the Friday Night Scream Stream. I am your host, Spakenstein, joined as always by my very good friend, Mr. Evan Sink.
Good evening.
How we doing tonight, Evan?
Oh, thank goodness it is Friday.
Seriously.
We made it.
We all made it. I'm sure. I mean, you know, this is a crazy thing about the summer. It's a great, fun time. It's also really busy for some people.
What's up, Spark?
Spark, which I believe is Kathy.
Slash
Kathy. Welcome, Kathy. Hope you're doing well on this Friday evening. Thanks for joining us here on Twitch. Of course, having some problems with YouTube. It's going to be at least another week till we get back on over there. So we're
having a feud with our parents right now.
We are. We're going through that angsty teenager phase, and we're rebelling. No, this was actually our fault. My fault. I'll go ahead and issue a retraction. That cartoon that I showed last week was not public domain, despite sources that I read that said it was. It was not. The reasons were convincing, but ultimately, when I did the research, not public domain. But that's all right, because guess what? We're on Twitch anyway, multi-streaming usually, but we're on Twitch tonight, hanging out, enjoying this Friday, and enjoying another installment in our Summer of Schlock. And, Summer of Schlock returns. And this is our 4th episode of the summer. And so far, we've had a season with some monsters and some... What did we even have last week? We had a spider and a Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Some kind of Spider-Man.
Spider.
Yeah, maybe it was a man spider. It's kind of hard to really pin that down. We didn't get a clear answer on that from the horrors of
Some
Spider-Man.
kind of atomic man spider.
Something like that, yeah. They obviously, as we discussed last week, there was not much plot to that movie, so... You can make it up for yourself. Whatever you want it to be, that's what it was. So yeah, I mean, God, last week's movie was very schlocky indeed. But that's what the summer is all about. And we have got an interesting film on deck this evening. Because last week it was an international film, so we're getting back to the homeland this Friday night, and we're bringing you a good old-fashioned 50s B creature feature. And tonight we've got, I have to say this right, The Phantom from 10,000 Leagues. And I have to read it when I say it, otherwise I'll say the wrong title.
Can you say it again?
The Phantom from 10,000 Leagues.
Okay. Deep, really deep.
It's very deep. Well, it's not the beast from 20,000 fathoms, Evan. So.
Oh, right, leagues.
Right, leagues,
this
fathoms.
Leagues,
what's
okay.
So
this one's just far away.
Mm-hmm.
The beast was from really deep.
Exactly. So, this title alone is already interesting enough, but it is a creature feature, and it actually comes from an interesting studio and some interesting executive producers who are responsible for some of the other movies that we've seen on the show and involved with the other people we've talked about on the show. So it'll be really interesting getting into this world of 50s independent science fiction movie making, because it is a wild world indeed. And I mean, this is, last year around this time we watched The Beach Girls and the Monster. So we enjoyed a very cheesy looking...
That was a bit like last week's movie.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, that makeup and the little spider, that was a nice little combo that we had. Tonight, we're getting fully back into underwater monster territory, which we had the giant leeches. We've gotten a few underwater monsters, but tonight we're getting firmly back in that territory. Which
nice, very nice.
Even Beach Girls and the Monster didn't fully commit to being that.
Yeah, it was more of a it was a beach monster more than a sea monster.
Yeah, it really was. But this is definitely a sea monster, so it'll be enjoyable. It's I'm excited. I haven't seen it, so I'm interested to see how it is. And what I'm also excited and interested for, as is Kathy, is our cocktail, because as always, Evan prepares a delicious cocktail with the evening's film and a little segment which he calls.
What time is it? It's Schlocktail hour.
What do we got, Evan?
So, we've got So we are firmly sea monster, just to clarify.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
so I try to go into these movies blind, so I don't really know necessarily what they're about, but I assumed it was a sea monster.
Yes.
I'm glad.
Yes.
Because,
You were on the money.
I was thinking this week that what we've really kind of skipped, what we've been missing on this segment.
What is that, Evan?
We haven't really played with salt that much.
No, we haven't.
And I thought, we've got an ocean movie, so what better time than to, break out the salt?
Smart. I love it.
Yeah. So we're in the spirit of this season, we're throwing some stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks. And anytime you have like an ocean themed drink, I feel like you got to go for the blue curacao. You need something blue, right?
It's a given.
So I was building off of that. Blue curacao, it's sweet and it's citrusy.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, let's lean into the sweet. Let's add the salt. And what we're gonna do, we've got dark rum, blue curacao, butterscotch schnapps, and sea salt around the rim. It's sweet and salty, kind of like a salted caramel.
I was gonna say, I think that butterscotch schnapps is gonna pair really nicely with the salted rim.
Mm-hmm. I'm hoping so. I haven't tried this either. I like to go into these blind.
I mean, this is a really creative drink that I think is the perfect pairing for this evening's film.
Yeah, well, I thought, we did sweet and spicy earlier this season.
That's right.
That was really good.
That was way better than you were expecting.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be bad. And, I mean, maybe this will be bad. Who knows? But
we'll see.
We're going to give this a try. It is blue. Thank goodness.
Thank
I was
God.
afraid it was going to come out not blue.
Well, we've had times where we go in thinking, you go in thinking this is going to be the color, and then it comes out looking
it's dark, like nothing.
But it's good. I'm glad that the color stuck this time.
All right, I'll give you this one.
Thank you, sir.
Your salt came out a little more clumpy.
Clumpy salt, dude.
Sorry, I've taken this one for the camera.
Let me speak to your manager.
I totally forgot to say, this is the deep blue, is what I'm calling this drink.
Oh, you didn't?
Yeah. Oops.
Better late than never, right?
Yeah. So if you want to make your own deep blue, you can find that recipe at the socials.
It is over on our Instagram page at Screamstream Show.
Interesting smell. We're
It's
gonna
very-
give this a try.
It's very strong, dude.
Yeah. There's
Shouldn't have smelled it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of, there's not really mixer in this. It's just all.
So it's a sipper.
It might be a sipper. It's honestly might be more of like a shot than a cocktail, but
Well, I guess we're
gonna
about
try
to
it
find
anyway.
out, huh?
So, deep blue. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
You know what it tastes like?
What?
It tastes like seawater. It tastes like when you're swimming and you accidentally get some ocean in your mouth.
He unfortunately he is right. It's not necessarily bad because it's
not.
alcoholic seawater.
It is like there is a sweetness to it. It's not bad.
But when you
actually.
get the salt kind of comes in later, and
Yeah.
you're like, it is like you just get hit
It's
by a
ocean.
wave, and then you're like, oh, salt.
But I will say, I mean,
I took a baby sip, and it was strong, dude.
it is very strong.
I took the babiest of sips.
It is very strong. See, I was tempted to put some kind of like sour, like a juice in with it. But I was worried that might like take away from the sweet and the salt.
Yeah, I think that if anything, it would have made it saltier, kind of depending on what you put in here. Like if you would went more citrusy, that would kind of, I don't know. It's good. I think it's gonna pair good with the film, and I mean,
that feeling, I'm tasting ocean. It does make me feel like I'm on vacation.
yeah. Just took a dip and got wrecked by this giant wave. Just right in the face.
Yeah. I'm out in the sun and the sand.
Get my tan on. Get my beach on.
There's something there, I think.
I 100% think so. Like, that's the thing. Sometimes a cocktail isn't really about, much like these movies. It's not about how good or bad it actually is. It's about the experience and the feeling
it's
that
about
you
what
get.
it makes you feel.
Right. The experience of the thing itself, not so much whether it's good or bad. And that's what I'll say about tonight's cocktail, which means it's a perfect pairing for the Phantom from 10,000 Leagues. No, I think for an ocean movie, this ocean drink is
got a glass of ocean right here.
I think it's great. So I'm very excited. We've got a good cocktail for what should be an interesting movie. Again, have not seen it. First time watch for me. So, and I haven't really, I'm not the biggest, me, crazy, classic monster guy. Mm-hmm. You get me from 1930 to 1945, I got you, could tell you about a lot. Once we start getting to the 50s and these sci-fi monster movies, there's really a lot I haven't seen. And so, tonight's movie is interesting because it comes from a company that would go on to release a lot of these movies and also kind of give opportunities to people like Roger Corman, who obviously would not have been able to do what he did without the help from the executive producers of tonight's film and their studio.
So this one is kind of in the orbit of Corman.
It is in the
ballpark of Corman. Right.
So basically in 1950, tonight's movie's from 1955. In 1954, this company called American Releasing Corporation got formed by this lawyer and this ad man who teamed up. And we'll talk more about them later. But they teamed up to form this studio. And a couple years after tonight's film, the studio was renamed to American International Pictures, who would go on to release a bunch of B movies and exploitation films throughout the 60s and 70s. We've seen The Terror, Dementia 13. There's so many movies I could list off that were The Bucket of Blood, that were released by AIP. So this is kind of a precursor. This was a movie that actually got them started because this was one of their first double features, and they kind of pioneered a new model using double features at this time, which we'll talk about tonight. And again, like we said, this is a sea monster movie. It's also your kind of atomic monster movie, which we talked about earlier this season when we watched The Beast of Yucca Flats. We kind of touched on the history of atomic monsters.
Okay, yeah.
So
is this a Pacific Ocean
movie? Yes, I believe that it is the Pacific Ocean. Yeah. And
a lot of radiation floating around in there.
Oh, big time. You know that water ain't clean. Yeah, so I'm interested to see I'm interested to see what the in these movies you don't always get an origin story for the monster, right? So I'm interested to see.
Yeah, when are we gonna get a an ocean plastic monster movie? Why hasn't anybody done that yet?
We're writing it right now, Evan. We're my hands over here. I'm already.
It feels like the modern equivalent of the atomic monster.
I think so. Something. Evan, So Evan and I are gonna have the rest of this conversation off the show because I just had an amazing idea and we're gonna talk about it later. Great stuff.
Nobody steal my idea, please.
Nobody said Evan. Copyright Evan Singh, trademark. Boom. Yeah. So I'm excited for this. Anything else before we get into it tonight, Evan?
So this Phantom's from what you said. Is it 10 or 20,000 leagues?
This one's 10,000 leagues.
Okay. What's farther? Is it 10,000 leagues or 20,000 fathoms?
I don't know what the conversion ratio from leagues to fathoms is.
I think we have to draw a triangle or something.
Yeah, it's going to take some kind of Pythagorean formulas and all this stuff I don't understand. So
we'll get our math guy right on.
I'm already boring myself, so yeah, leave it to the math guy.
I don't know. Either way, man, 10,000 leagues sounds far out.
Well, we're about to find out because without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the exciting beginning of The Beast from... Sorry, God damn it. See, I told you I'd do it. I told you I'd do it. So confident, too.
It's the Phantom.
It's the Phantom and the Fathom. Phantom, Fathom, Phantom, Fathom. I can't... Those two words just fucking screw me up so much.
The Beast.
The Beast. The Beast. The Beast. Okay. The Phantom from 10,000 Leagues. Right now. Yes, I know there's a logo on it. They don't own it. Don't worry about it. Wow, really boring logo. God, Bell's already tolling for this guy.
Is this an art film?
Yep. No, this is your good old classic cheesy monster movie.
Oh, that means this guy's gonna die.
Oh, yeah.
Big time.
Big time. I mean, these are in the 1950s is kind of when this even trope of these kind of creature movies got developed. Of, okay, opening scene, you got to show somebody getting killed. But spoiler alert.
He's doomed. Oh no. Whoa.
I don't know what to do with my arms.
I can't move in this fucking
I
thing.
really cannot move in this thing. Now, I've actually got an interesting note about our creature performer tonight. Or I guess maybe performers.
Somebody help. Get me out of here.
I'm gonna get you.
Scary sea monster.
I'm getting you.
I'm getting you.
I'm gonna grab your legs. We're wrestling.
You had all summer to figure out what he does.
See, they are doing what I was just thinking. I was like, they should have that scene and then the opening credits. What did I don't know why I already thought we had the opening credits.
So this Phantom swam 10,000 leagues
just to kill
it with the doggy paddle.
You can't swim like that. I know for a fact you can't swim. It's an interesting way to spell Doris. D-O-R-Y-S.
Reese.
Doris. I love this score. Ronald Stein, who did the music for The Terror, Da Vinci 13, Spider Baby. One of my favorite composers, and he didn't really do that many movies. It's always so grandiose. Oh yeah, this is my beach suit. I just go for an evening stroll, dressed in my three-piece.
What is he gonna wear? A t-shirt? Outside the house?
I just got like a bit of the cocktail with a whole bunch of the salt on the rim, and so it really does taste like beach.
Yeah, it really puts you in that. It's weird how you can like fire synapses in your brain. It's like, bam, I'm at the beach.
I'm at the beach. I'm here. We're here.
William S. Grant, Special Investigator. Department of Defense, Washington. Well, I guess that makes it pretty official.
Yes, I guess it does.
His body is rigid with burns. The boat's charred, too. Yet there's no sign of fire. We better get him out of the water.
I'll take care of him myself.
Just thought I'd give you some help.
Can it breathe fire?
I'm sorry, why are all these men in suits hanging out on the beach? I don't understand. I'm already lost. They're just all happen to be here. All right, yeah. Now here's a real working man. He doesn't need a three-piece suit to go out on the beach.
He just needs his harpoon.
Now that you've got all my vital statistics, let's have yours. Name, address, occupation, things like that.
The name's Baxter. Ted Baxter. The address, local hotel. Occupation, beachcomber and tourist. Length of stay, indefinite. Will that
in
do?
the Twilight
Rod
Zone?
Serling.
What are you, Rod Serling?
Place. Know anybody in town?
No. I have a letter of introduction to the head of
Yo,
the
he
College
said
of
he's a
Oceanography.
beachcomber and he's wearing these
Professor
fucking
King,
clothes, dude.
which
He
explains
found
why
him on
I'm
the
here at this
beach.
particular minute. I was on my way to see him at his home when I stumbled in onto this.
Look out.
He did it.
He's gonna... No, he's not shooting anybody from there.
Come out of there!
Hey, you.
What's that sound?
I met you at the College of Oceanography yesterday, didn't I?
That's right. I'm George Thomas, Professor King's assistant.
You seemed a little anxious not to be seen.
Well, I saw two strangers standing over a corpse. Not being the hero type, I decided this was no place for me.
You planning to do a little diving, Mr. Thomas? This late at night?
I'm an oceanographer. The ocean's my business, day or night.
Anything particularly interesting around here? You'll keep out of this. You better not do any diving around here for a while. I want you to forget that you were even here tonight, understand?
Yeah, they're all fucking shady.
Go for a night dive. I'm an oceanographer.
What?
You're soaking wet.
So I am. I saw a wonderful marine specimen. I went in after it.
With the college on vacation, you're spending more time there than ever. I hardly see you anymore. I've never seen you this detached from me, from reality.
I'm working on breathtaking things, Lois. Great things.
And you still won't tell me what it is?
Not yet.
You've got
That's
your
always
own
a good
staff
sign.
consumed with curiosity. Even your secretary has asked me if I know what it is you're doing behind that tightly locked lab of yours.
She's a sneaking, prying female. I should fire her. And I suppose George is quizzing you, too.
A little. I think he feels a deep resentment because you cut him off from your work so.
He's an opportunist, not a scientist. I don't trust him nor Ethel. They're both spying on me.
This guy is paranoid AF.
I'm not here. I'm in bed. I've been in bed an hour. An hour. You
God.
understand?
Paranoid, he's going to bed. Might as well be Brian Wilson. This guy was the original Beach.
Won't you come in?
Thank you. Is Professor King here?
I'm sorry, he's asleep. He went to bed an hour ago.
He's been asleep for 1 hour.
Are you sure the professor's asleep? Tell him that Ted Baxter's here. It's urgent.
What do you want him for?
Please tell him.
Dad? Dad?
Oh, it's her father. Oh. Slipped out the back.
He's sleepwalking.
Yeah, I can't explain that.
Oh my god, my dad's been kidnapped. He was only asleep for 1 hour.
Out here taking notes.
I'm mapping the ocean. What does an oceanographer do?
Just, collect shells and kind of makes, like, they take seaweed and they put it on a sheet of paper.
Carries a harpoon.
Yeah.
Is that a sea turtle?
It is. It's his sea turtle. It doesn't look like a real. It just looks like a turtle.
It looks like a box turtle.
Yeah. What are box turtles doing hanging out on this beach?
Oh.
Second, he's like holding that thing like a football.
Yeah. I thought he was gonna throw it.
My friend the beachcomber. Supposing you tell me what your great interest in this thing is, Dr. Stevens. You work fast, don't you? Oh, I've learned quite a lot about you, Doctor. You'd be surprised how well Washington knows you. Care to hear how famous you are? Dr. Stevens, oceanographer, one of the leaders in this field, author of 2 highly controversial books, Biological Effects of Radiation on Marine Life and Nature's Own Death Ray. You have been busy, Mr. Grant.
Nature's Own Death Ray, coming to you
Dr. Stevens, in a laboratory experiment,
live on tour this
successfully
summer.
activated the hydrogen isotopes in heavy water to form an atomic chain reaction. He called this development the first workable death ray. Suppose you tell me what you're doing with that Geiger counter.
Well, I told you I thought the boat showed radiation burns. I wanted to verify it. I did. Scientific curiosity, you might say.
And using the phony name, what's that for?
That's for reasons of my own.
I watched you yesterday, the way you looked out there as if you expected something like this was going to happen.
Am I to consider myself a suspect?
What happened out there seems to tie in pretty closely with your own experiments.
The evidence, if you can call it that, was highly circumstantial. Washington tell you anything else about me?
Enough to make me keep my eyes on you.
You know, if you leave me alone, I might be able to help you with this.
And then again, maybe not.
I don't need your help. That's what he said. I can crack this case myself. I don't need you and your fancy devices.
I've got my own irradiated boat.
Pacific College of Oceanography.
Morning, Miss Ethel.
Morning, Andy.
They found Willie Harrison's boat this morning, burned like the others. They ain't found his body. That makes 3 the Phantoms got. You know what they're saying in town? That nothing like this ever happened until they opened the school here. Can't say that I blame them. The way the professor's been acting, locking himself up in his room. He won't even let me in there to clean it. And all those noises coming from that room.
I've got work to do, Andy.
I can't gossip with you now. I'm much too busy. I'm swamped with paperwork.
And that young one, George.
What about George?
He's following the professor around. Follows him everywhere. I seen it. Hiding behind trees. Watches him all the time. It ain't normal, this carrying on.
What's not normal, Andy?
That boy ain't right.
You want to say that a little louder, Andy?
I'll go hunch somewhere else.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I'm not to be disturbed. You understand?
Yes, sir.
I'm just gonna go over here and pick this up. Oh, the creeper.
What have you got there, Ethel?
Nothing, just a piece of scrap.
Uh-oh.
HEF increase 0.56 dash 24. 0.64 dash 32. 0.70 dash 18.
Keeping right up with the professor, aren't you, George?
I'm one step ahead of him.
I'm gonna beat him at his own game.
Got to get into his lab, Ethel. You've got to help me get in there.
You're the best oceanographer in the world.
It's worth a lot of money to me. To you, too.
I could tell him what you're up to.
And I could shoot you with this harpoon gun.
You could.
But you won't. Because of the implication.
But you won't.
Yeah, that was a Dennis Reynolds grin right there.
So, I mean, that was a yikes, right?
I was late on it. I just need to give you your old yikes button. No, you'd probably be much faster on it than I would be.
You have to appreciate the
Oh yeah, it always adds a little something.
when you can pull that off.
Halfway decent. You're in water that's actually clear, and it's a lot of seaweed.
Yeah, it's pretty kelpy down here. Nothing.
What is he gonna do with that turtle? I think I know what he's doing. If he's doing what I think he's doing, it's insane. Just gonna pop this turtle in the microwave and boom, radioactive turtle. They're gonna be giving me the next Nobel Prize.
We're officially like mad scientists at this point, right?
Yes,
You got the, like,
yes.
you got the bubbling flask in the foreground.
Oh, I love it. Radioactive turtles. Ugh. So it's a turtle monster?
Cowabunga.
So that's what we've actually got. Literally, is a giant radioactive turtle.
Okay. Did he? Yeah. Okay. Radioactive turtle.
Some irradiated turtle monster. See, now I'd see a movie called Attack of the Turtle Monsters, but no, they had to go with the Phantom from 10,000 Leagues.
Would you call this monster particularly phantom-like?
No, not at all. I guess that's what they call, because there's been murders, right? Ah. Oh, I'm using my arms a little bit more now.
See the wire.
Ah.
Nice. Mouth moves.
Hingeable jaw. You better freaking not die from what do they call it when they come up too fast?
Oh, the
The
bends.
bends. Definitely would have gotten the bends if he shot up like that.
I feel like, yeah, like that's an underutilized like aspect of underwater horror. The fact that you can't really safely ascend very quickly.
They do it in Jaws 2 in a pretty interesting. Here's a guy who sees the shark when he's diving for like lobster or something, and he tries to come up and it's the bends. It's like that's how I learned what the bends were, was Jaws 2. Aquatic horror.
Hi.
Oh, hi there. Tell me, how did you leave your house? Through the door or through the open window like your father did last night?
Through the door. I leave the
Got
window
him.
exits to Dad. Join me in a swim?
No, I'm a little winded. How about you joining me in a rest? Maybe I can pick up some of that color you have.
Care for a cigarette?
No, thanks.
Siggy's on the beach.
No.
You seem a little nervous, Mr. Baxter.
Why don't you call me Ted? Mr. Baxter sounds so formal, especially here at the beach.
Mr. Baxter is my father. Call me Ted.
It's too nice just to sit around. If you're not coming in for a swim, then I think I'll go in alone.
Now look, you can't go swimming.
I don't like being told what to do.
Well, it's not a case of my telling you what to do. It's just that it isn't safe out there.
I think you're being a little ridiculous. Look, I've spent all my life near the water. I can handle myself under any situation.
But I'm afraid you can't in this one. I'm going to insist that you stay out of the water at least for a while.
Insist?
Yes,
Who do you think you are, the mayor from Jaws? Not the mayor, the sheriff. The mayor wants to keep the beaches open.
Let's just say that I'd feel better knowing that you were safe here on the beach. For personal reasons.
You ought to do that more often.
Do what?
Smile. I like it.
Oh.
Such a corny line.
All I need is
Heard
a
of that
helping
way
courage.
too many times.
given that to me.
You better go.
She jumps over the desk.
Ethel, will you go down to the supply room and get some ocean current charts?
Yes, sir.
Professor King, I wonder if I might have a few words with you alone.
Ethel, I believe you were on your way down to the supply room.
I called on you at your home last night, but you'd gone out for a walk through an open window.
Yes, my daughter Lois told me that a Mr. Baxter had called. I got a terrible scolding on your account. I'm afraid you ruined my favorite device for getting out of the house when I can't sleep.
It's a terrible excuse.
Professor, I saw a fisherman's body washed up on the shore last night.
These men get very careless. They think they rule the sea, but it's just the opposite. The sea rules us, Mr. Baxter.
This man wasn't killed by a natural force. His body was rigid with radiation burns. I think whatever killed him was man-made.
Indeed. Very interesting. Although not within my scope as an oceanographer. Just what is it you want of me, Mr. Baxter?
Well, I'd like a detailed study of the ocean in this vicinity, the depth and the composition of the floor, anything that you might have.
Take a little time to gather them.
I'd like them as soon as possible.
Oh, I told my daughter I wouldn't work this afternoon. Why don't you come to the house about 3?
She's probably used to
Say,
it.
if you get there before I do and Lois is out, just go on
to
right
do
in.
your
The house is generally
scientific
unlocked.
work.
That'll be fine.
And by the way, I take it you are working with Mr. Grant, the federal investigator.
You might say so.
Mm.
You can come in now, miss.
Nice.
I hope you found the conversation interesting.
She just
Busted.
biting her lip. Ooh, I got caught.
You're an inquisitive woman, aren't you, Ethel?
Jeez. He's gonna kill his secretary.
I was gonna say curiosity killed the Ethel.
Somebody's gonna end up shooting this poor woman with the harpoon.
She looks like she's just waiting for it to happen. She knows she's been way too nosy. She just can't. She's gone too far. She can't go back now.
Nice, putting your photo on the front.
Yeah. Instead of putting the author's picture on the back, we're gonna put you right on the front. And that is gonna take us to our first break. What's the first third of The Phantom from 10,000 Leagues?
Did a check.
Gotta make sure I get it right. What do we think so far, Evan?
Man, we've how much have we seen? Is this a longer movie?
It's an hour 20 minutes.
Okay.
So it's a little bit longer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 10 minutes longer than I think what we've seen up to this point.
We've seen a lot of monster so far.
A fair amount.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we know what it is basically without them like telling us, right? It's just kind of you can put enough implications together that this mad marine biologist is, or oceanographer, or whatever the fuck he is using radiation to make these turtle monsters. I mean, Sign me up. Interesting, right? Like, but there's a lot of like plot around it, right? You got this government agent, and you've got and this scientist, and then you got the student, and you got the nosy secretary, and the scientist's daughter. And am I missing anybody here? It's a lot to keep track of normally for one of these movies, you know?
Yeah. A lot of moving parts on this one.
Yeah, which I wasn't expecting. But I mean, that again, the product out of American Releasing Corp and then American International Pictures, like, it was decent. I mean, again, we've seen stuff on this show that is pretty bottom of the barrel. And I mean, this season alone, think about the BC Yucca Flats.
Yeah.
Think about last week's movie in terms of plot. Very little, non-existent. So at least here we're getting some level of Hollywood adjacent. These people worked on, you know, in and around Hollywood enough to know what it took to at least have an interesting movie, right? And so basically the executive producers of tonight's film and the guys who created ARC, which then became AIP. ARC, AIP, keep up with these it's ridiculous. But Arkoff and Nicholson, these guys were like a kind of a famous team, and Sam Arkoff was a lawyer, and Jim Nicholson was an advertising marketing guy. And they actually, you'll never guess who was indirectly responsible for them joining forces. Another, let's not even say B movie figure, let's say Z movie figure.
Oh God, is it Ed Wood?
It is Ed Wood. These two guys would not have made their studio. They would have not formed American International Pictures, which means Roger Corman may not even have gotten a chance to do what he did with his career had it not been for Ed Wood. Originally, and we might have touched on this in our Bride of the Monster episode, but the original title of what eventually became Bride of the Monster was The Atomic Monster. And a company called Real Art in the 50s, they were re-releasing a bunch of Universal horror movies that had been made in the 30s and 40s. Well, Universal had a movie entitled, hold on, let me get this right. What was the original version? I was just watching it today. It was just on TV. What was it called? Man-Made Monster. Pretty generic title, right?
Yeah.
So Real Art, for its re-release, it was retitled The Atomic Monster. And so when Ed Wood put out a press release saying that he was making a movie called Atomic Monster, there was immediately this legal dispute. And so one of Ed Wood, like the guy that was co-writing it with Ed Wood, hired a lawyer, Sam Arkoff, who went to the company Real Art and met with their marketing guy, Jim Nicholson. And so while they were trying to hash out whether or not there was going to be a lawsuit, they realized that they were, had a lot in common. They became good friends and decided to form a studio that would focus on exploiting the new kind of teen market and the drive-in market. And they cornered the independent market, basically. For about 15 to 20 years.
So what happened with the lawsuit?
It didn't go through. I think they settled. They were able to, I think Real Art maybe paid them some money and they changed the title. It may have been something like that. Which I'm sure the title, The Atomic Monster, with the Real Art movie was invented by Jim Nicholson, because Jim Nicholson came up with the title for tonight's film. And that was basically, Evan and I were joking about it before the show, title guy. Jim Nicholson, he was an ad man, and at AIP, he was the title guy, basically. He would just come up with the title, have the ad department make up a poster, and then they would make the movie. And that was one of their, like, practices. And that was what they did for tonight's movie. Like I said, Jim Nicholson came up with the title. But the other practice that they came up with at this time, and the reason they became so profitable was, and tonight's movie was the very first time that they did it, involved the double feature. So double features had been invented like in the 30s, but they kind of, their popularity waned by the early 50s. And so when they started this company, American Releasing Corp, what they found was they'd make a movie, they would sell it to theaters, and the theaters would put it on a double bill with another movie from another studio, but it'd be on the bottom bill, and they wouldn't make as much money, right? So they realized, oh, well, if we make two movies and package them together, we're going to get all the money from that double feature. You always get top billing. You always get top bill, but you always get all the money. You're not splitting. That was the thing. If they had a double feature that was just one of their movies, you're having to split the profits, right? So in this case, they realized, all right, well, we'll independently contract some producers to produce the movie. We'll throw in some money for costs, and then we'll distribute it. And that's what they did for this. And the co-feature, which was actually the top billed feature, was Day the World Ended. So that's one of the trailers we're going to see during our break. And Day the World Ended was produced by Roger Corman, I believe, but not directed by Roger Corman. And that was the thing. ARC did that with Roger Corman. They helped him. Before he directed, he produced a little bit. And they gave him his first producing opportunities. And it involved like, okay, we'll put up some of the costs and then we'll distribute it. I believe for tonight's film, it was like 60-40. ARC paid 60% of the budget. And then the producers of tonight's film are actually a pair of brothers, the Milner brothers, Dan and Jack. And Dan directed this, but they didn't do too many other movies. We've already seen some interesting underwater shots. The underwater stuff was apparently handled by a guy unfortunately named, because it just is a weird name to me, Wyatt Ordung. And
Wyatt Ordung.
Ordung, just such a, I don't know, strange. But he, the year before tonight's movie, had made a film for American Releasing Corp entitled Monster from the Ocean Floor, which was also produced by Roger Corman, but not directed by Roger Corman. And that's the other trailer we're going to see for our break. And so that's the thing. So Monster from the Ocean Floor was a movie that they released before they realized they could do the double feature thing. And then tonight's movie and Day the World Ended, those were both, Day the World Ended. Those were both that was their first double feature. So those are the trailers we're going to see for the break. And then when we come back, we'll get into the exciting middle of The Phantom from 10,000 Leagues. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Suppose there were no reports about this thing until 1946. What could have happened then to start the stories?
1946? Well, the bikini underwater experiments were set off then. Maybe that started something.
Deep down in the strange, lurid, murky depths of the Pacific are fantastic, horribly grotesque creatures of the sea that challenge man's courage as no earthly creatures can. Science knows some of the answers, but not all. And among science's unknowns is the strange identity of the living monster from the ocean floor.
How'd he get out of suit? No man gets through that.
Then what happened to him?
Here is the first undersea battle ever photographed between a giant killer shark and a woman, as she searches for a monster even more deadly.
Could absorb a man.
woman. Bonnie, cast off on the double.
One scientist foresaw the day the world ended.
There are two forms of life fighting for survival out here in this valley, and only one of them can win.
I'll talk to the girls in the morning.
The girls?
Yes. They should bear children as soon as possible.
But being a scientist, he did not consider human emotions.
No one takes my gun.
Tony, look out! He did not know about the uninhibited exhibitionism of a striptease dancer. He'd forgotten about the power of love and knew nothing about the vicious force of jealousy.
Nothing ever come easy to me.
Don't touch me. I can't stand you. Tony, let the little girl go.
But more thrilling, more exciting, more mystifying is the monster. The mutation by atomic energy, part man, part beast, salaciously watching women as they bathe. A monster such as the eyes of man has never before seen. Killing one by one each of the few living men, hunting out the most beautiful of the remaining women to take as his mate.
And we are back. Short break, huh?
Naked screaming terror.
Ah, yeah.
Hey, that's Friday night.
That's a typical Friday night of the scream stream for you. Oh, we are back. So yeah, those were two ARC films, which kind of, I guess, Day the World Ended was concurrent with tonight's film, but Monster from the Ocean Floor preceded it. And again, it came in the middle of this cycle of underwater monster movies. Aquatic horror was popular in the early to mid 50s, which we'll talk about in our second break. One other interesting fact before we get into the middle part of the movie, we've already seen some interesting monster footage so far.
Yeah.
It's pretty ridiculous looking monster.
Okay, so you said that they designed this movie, like they made the poster first, they wrote it off of the posters.
That's how they would do that was their.
So you don't happen to have the poster for this.
Yeah, I can pull it up. Yeah.
Because I'm really curious to see like what the starting point for this whole idea was versus.
Well, now I don't know if with this particular movie if they did it that way, but I know that was a famed practice.
I was gonna say, if they design a monster for the poster, and then this is just how it turns out.
I think yes. I'll let you be the judge of that.
Yeah, I think so. I think that they drew this, and then they were like, okay, now we have to make it, and
yeah, that's it.
That is that looks less turtle-like, I think.
Yeah, way less turtle-like.
It looks like a sea dragon.
Yeah, with the tongue.
Tail.
I guess that's what I was expecting a little more, right? A little more sea dragon.
See, that's like it's a bigger, and like this I've like we've kind of thought about this. Like if you have a sea monster, it's either like a guy in a suit or some big some big thing.
Or stop motion.
Or stop motion. But yeah, this thing on this poster is like it's bigger than a man. So they decided to go the man route.
They did, yeah. Ultimately, well, Evan, you know what? You're wrong.
Am I?
You're wrong
There's
because
not a man in there.
There's not a man in that suit.
It's a puppet.
It's a woman, baby.
Oh,
It's
okay,
yeah, no,
well,
it's
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, a woman.
yeah. No, and it's okay to be sorry because this is one of the few times that the person playing the creature in the creature suit is a female actor and not a male actor. We don't get that often.
Yeah.
Well, that's because she's not even really an actor. So that's the thing. I have no information on the creature suit. Couldn't find any information on who made the creature suit, but the actress in the creature suit was a woman named Norma Hansen, and she and her husband Alfred were both experienced commercial divers. And she had also been a show diver, which I guess is like one of those people at the circus that jumps into a tiny little pool of water from the high dive. Yeah, I guess that was what she did. And so the guy who we talked about earlier, who handled the underwater scenes, Wyatt Ordung, in a later interview, he said that they did a test of the suit on Norma, I guess before they were making the movie, and apparently she almost got killed because the suit got all tangled up in a bunch of seaweed.
Oh,
which
shit.
we saw earlier, all that seaweed, right?
Right.
And so I think the other thing Ordung said was that she and her husband would switch off playing the monster. But, as we've seen and as reviews that I read said, like, I mean, there's the people in the costume had to be struggling because there's barely any movement or mobility.
Right.
You're just, there's no way you can see. There's no way you have any, and no wonder she almost fucking drowned.
I've absolutely, yeah. That suit looks like it would be hard to get around on land.
Oh God, without a doubt. Yeah, it's very unwieldy and ridiculous looking. And I mean, hey, hats off to Norma and Alfred for putting that thing on. And
almost, I mean, hey, we suffer for our art, right?
Don't we? Don't we all? We are all just artists suffering. That's what art's about. Well, anything else before we get into the exciting middle of The Phantom from 10,000 Leagues?
Do you think this oceanographer is gonna get the other 3 turtles?
I think so. I mean, I imagine it's so crazy.
A rat, I guess.
Well, it's so crazy that this guy just walked on the beach, picked up a turtle. You think you'd have a stockpile of turtles by now. And yeah, when is he going to move on to other? And what's his fascination with turtles? I don't know. So maybe we'll get some answers to that, because I would like to know.
Yeah, as far as sea life goes, if I was going to try to make a monster out of a available animal that lived on the beach, I'd probably go bird, right?
Seabird monster.
Seabird monster. What else lives? Or a shark? Catch a shark.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think turtle. I mean, I guess that they're easy to catch.
Big turtle. I mean, we've talked about jellyfish monsters before, and I mean, that's the beauty of the sea. So many big and small creatures that it could all be turned into terrifying B-movie monsters. So you too can find your own obscure sea creature, make your own unique creature feature. Just come up with some kind of Mad Libs for it. Fill in the blank. Boom, you got a movie.
There we go.
Anything else before we get? Did I already ask you that? I already asked you that.
Yeah.
Running on fumes here, folks, but it's all right. Well, I'm having fun.
I don't know if dear viewers can tell, Garrett and I are both exhausted.
Been a long week.
It's been a long week.
It's been a long week.
We have these pesky things called day jobs.
Yeah, when you know it. And again, like we said at the top of the show, sometimes, as fun as summer is, you just get saddled with,
get swept away,
swamped, and swept away on a tide of terror. Yeah.
The tagline for our plastic monster movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, seriously, I'm terrified. So, without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into the exciting middle of The Phantom from 10,000 Leagues right now. He's just walking up like he's walking up to the back door, like he's entitled. Yeah, just let yourself in, bro.
Hey, the door was open.
Mind if I grab a beer out of the fridge?
Look, she told me to make myself at home. There was no expiration date on that, okay? I live here now.
Oh, is this your edition of Oceanographers Monthly? Oh, no, you see, you're an issue behind. I already have the latest issue. This one sucks.
Oh! Well, at least you might have knocked.
Well, I did. And your father told me to open
Oh,
the
let me
door and
come
in.
closer to the door while you're standing there in your towel.
Would you mind handing me those things there?
Surely.
He just picks up the entire chair. You mean this?
He stuffs it through the door.
Yes.
I mean, this is pretty, not scandalous for the time, but, you know, this is 55. This is still... I mean, when we saw that nude scene in Yucca Flats, that came out in, like, 61. So... I guess if you're having a movie at the ocean, she's in a bathing suit, she's in a bra.
Would you mind helping me with this zipper?
Of course.
Is she wearing a bra?
She was, but in that didn't
You're an awful long time
we
with
see that in the previous shot?
Yeah, she
Mission
was wearing a
completed.
bra in the last.
Sorry to say.
Or when she was in the bathroom?
Hello. I'm sorry I'm late.
Well, now that Dad's here, will you excuse me?
Oh, surely.
I hope these are what you wanted. Dr. Stevens. I've read your books very thoroughly, Doctor, on which, incidentally, your photograph appears.
Well, maybe it's just as well you know who I am.
I don't understand why he's hiding his identity
Have
if
you
everybody
charted the
easily finds
area
out
around
who he
Baker's
is.
Cove?
The area where the accidents
He's just a very
occurred?
private
No, I
person.
don't think we
Except
got
he
around
puts
to
his
that.
face
We-
smack dab on the front of
Been
his
here
book.
2 years, you know.
Fucking idiot.
Well, you've mapped other areas in this vicinity. A few years ago, a submerged deposit of uranium ore was found along this coast. Is there any evidence of a similar deposit along here?
No, not to my knowledge. Why?
Why, this morning I made a test dive over the area where the accidents have taken place. They weren't accidents. There's a shaft of light coming up out of the ocean. I have reason to believe that it's nuclear in character. Now, any object coming in contact with this light would be subject to extreme radiation. I believe this light killed 3 men.
Incredible. You say you made a close examination of this light?
Not as close as I would have liked to. It was being guarded by a sea serpent. A hideous beast that defies description.
No, Doctor. If
I love how
didn't
he's
know that
smiling
you're a
when he
scientist
says
with
that.
high standards, I say
It
that
was
you
a
were the victim
hideous
of the ridiculous
beast.
phantom stories that are running wild around the village.
Professor, you say you've read my stories.
Indeed, I have.
Your book?
Much of my work is based on your findings.
Well, then you must remember my experiments on activating the hydrogen isotopes in heavy water.
Oh, but that was on a miniature scale in a laboratory with a lot of equipment. But on the ocean floor...
I proved it could be done. I used artificial means to start the reaction.
Then you think that with the submerged deposit of uranium ore, you can get the same reaction on a much larger scale?
A weapon like this could destroy anything coming in contact with it.
Oh, fantastic.
Once the chain reaction had started, it could continue indefinitely. As a matter of fact, keep growing larger.
And what about the beast down there? Was he man-made too?
I believe so. Since marine life lives in a constant flow of heavy water, the effect of radiation on it would be completely different than it is on humans.
Well, that's your theory on mutations, isn't it, Doctor?
Yes. And if what I believe is true, this monster that I saw in the ocean was a mutation of some sea creature. You see, it draws its energy from the nuclear light itself, just as plant life needs the sun to grow on.
Well, have you any evidence to support this fantastic theory?
I created such a mutant in my own laboratory.
Oh, come now, Doctor.
I destroyed it, just as this creature must be destroyed, and the knowledge that went into creating it.
But is that a whitest kids you know sketch?
That knowledge might have come out of my college.
Happier and with your mouth
I am
open.
head of that college. Obviously.
Professor, in science, we look for one thing and find another. We split an atom and the hydrogen bomb has evolved. We set up a simple experiment or study on underwater life. Something new and horrible is created.
I feel as if I and my
Something
experiments
new and horrible is created.
I haven't overlooked that
I'm just
possibility.
waiting for more of it.
If it were a matter of pure science alone, I'd be inclined to examine you most closely. However, there's another element.
Another element?
The person responsible for this terrible weapon has offered it for sale to the highest bidder.
So funny anymore.
I don't believe it.
There's so much intrigue going on in this movie.
Hello.
It is.
Yes, Mr. Grant.
And they're selling it like 50%.
We'll have them ready for you in the morning.
They're committing 50%.
That's right. Goodbye. Grant's going to make a dive in the morning. He's borrowing some equipment from us. We can't let him go down there.
Why not?
Well, in view of what you told me, I thought, well, it's not safe for him to go down there. Why are you staring at me, Doctor?
You seemed so skeptical when I told you the results of my test dive. Yet you show genuine concern for Mr. Grant's safety.
I don't care about you.
I see how it is. Back in the harpoon lab.
Yeah.
Did I startle you? I'm sorry.
I didn't hear you come out.
I forgot to tell you, Mr. Grant wants to pick up a full set of diving equipment tomorrow. Have it ready for him.
Yes, sir.
And tell George and the night watchman, in case you're not here.
Yes, sir.
Ethel, I consider you an intelligent woman. A bit bitter, perhaps. No great lover of mankind, but still intelligent. I'd like your opinion. What would you consider a just punishment for a man or woman who would betray his fellow man for money? One who would take a scientific discovery of monumental scope and use it to line his or her pockets.
I don't know.
Would you consider death?
I mean, this is a
Just-
check-off thing, right?
Well,
it needs to go off later in the play.
Chekhov's guns.
You're gonna
No
fire.
matter. You can tell me some other time.
They're gonna wait. Quit and get out. You don't need the money.
Hello. Get me Mr. Grant, please.
Oh, God, These people walking around the beach with their suits on.
He shouldn't have come here. I may have been followed. There was a time when you would have welcomed me under any circumstances.
They've got federal men investigating. They must know something. They're planning on making a dive tomorrow.
A dive? They've got to be stopped.
How?
It gotta
It's
be
your
stabbed.
problem.
You shouldn't have come here.
I had to. I got a cable from Antwerp. I'm to fly there in 2 days. They're expecting me to bring some vital information from you.
I'm not ready.
You were ready enough to accept a considerable sum of money in advance, weren't you?
I won't know anything until I can get into King's lab.
Then get in. Butt your way in.
I tried that with his secretary. It didn't work.
You're facing some serious problems, George. You have 2 days in which to find the answers. I'll be leaving for Europe the day after tomorrow.
Where will I find you?
I'll be spending most of my time soaking up a little sun at Colby's Point. That's where we used to meet, remember?
I remember.
Black gloves, nice
For quite a while,
touch.
we were just a man and a woman, weren't we? I didn't know then they could put beauty and poison so cleverly together in one package.
Colby's Point, remember?
God, look how big that. You imagine how heavy that car door is. Jesus. Ooh, cool.
Okay, cool shot.
Intrigue.
Hmm.
Suspense. Are you still working on your cocktail?
No, I finished mine.
Oh my God, I'm like not even halfway through it.
You don't have to drink it if you don't.
No, I'm going to finish it. It's just like so strong.
Yeah, it is very strong. I think it probably should have been a shot. It's like a one and done kind of thing.
Is it all right to talk here?
Go ahead.
I can tell you what you want to know.
All right.
We're gonna run to the water holding
We're
hands.
frolicking. We're gonna frolic all the way to this boat. Rocky Beach.
Yeah, that does not look fun at all. Were they? I'm sorry, they were not running out on that without shoes or sandals on. They didn't have water shoes back then, did they?
Hey, you look lovely.
Thank you. I hope my caller feels the same way about it.
I'm sure he will. Dr. Stevens is very observing. He's a bright young man. Sometimes I think he's too bright.
Too bright? I don't understand what you mean.
Oh, just an old coot thinking out loud. You know, science is a devouring mistress. She devours all who seek to fathom her mysteries. And for every secret she reveals, she demands a price. A price that a scientist must be prepared to pay. Even at the cost of his life. Or the life of others who stand in the way of his search.
You say that almost as though you were threatening me.
You? What nonsense.
Don't put it past him.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening. I dare say you two won't mind being left alone.
You're beautiful.
Which is a good opening line for any date.
Oh, I've got more. But they require an entirely different setting. How about a nice walk along the ocean?
That looks so corny.
Whoa!
What?
What?
Why?
He may fool the rest of you with his soft
They had
words, but
to
not me.
cut two
He's a
shots
killer.
together because they didn't get the move right.
Can't accuse King of treason just because you hate him.
I'll accuse him of anything. He sent my only son out in a squall to get his filthy ocean specimens.
Proof, Ethel. I need proof.
He killed her
Behind those
son?
locked doors of his.
Indirectly.
Just get in there. I could get you all the proof you want.
We may be able to figure out something along those lines. If I could show you how to make a wax impression of those locks, could you do it sometime tomorrow?
I'm sure I could.
Come on.
Oh, Ethel. Uh-oh. Look, Archer. Even more Archer.
She's the archist. An archer than an
Who
archer.
is this? Who are these? Just randos? Why is there water in their boat?
Everybody's just coming out here to dive. Welcome to Dive Beach. We want to go swim in the kelp.
When they're still holding hands, stop it. Are their hands glued together? What's up? Uh-oh. Oh, like this. Coming up to get him. Yeah. POV shot from the monster. I think. Maybe not. But that'd be cool.
It would be cool.
No, I guess not. They would have seen it. They'd have freaked out. What are they doing?
They're in love. They're frolicking.
Frolicking.
I feel so sorry for the like suit operator.
I know, right? Well, at least they're just getting a rest.
Yeah. Did they have an air tank?
I don't know. That's a good question.
All right, hold your breath.
Maybe.
Where do the bubbles come out?
Huh?
Where do the bubbles come out?
That's the thing to look for.
Has an air tank.
Yeah.
Here it comes. On the move.
Can't do anything in that.
Still coming.
Flipped over your boat. Gotcha, bitches. What? Oh, towel. Ooh.
That's nice.
Pretty.
I'd better be getting home. It's late. It's been a lovely evening.
Yes, it was pleasant. And it did go fast.
Mostly in talk about my father and the college, now that I think of it. You've learned a great deal about him.
Natural curiosity about a fellow scientist. There were some very pleasant moments of silence, too.
We really should go.
All right.
Uh-oh, they're gonna come up on this washed up boat. Boom. Oh shit. It's always funny the bodies are washed up with the boat.
Yeah. They're just stuck together.
You go home and call Bill Grant. You'll find him at the hotel. Tell him I'll wait here for his instructions. Hurry, please.
he finally gonna use this thing?
Lurking with the harpoon.
Yep.
Yep.
He's gonna be a terrible shot. Yeah, that's the thing about a harpoon gun. You only get one.
Yeah.
So you better hit your target.
How well does a harpoon gun even work, like, above water?
I wouldn't think it would go that way.
I don't know.
Have no clue. Nice. Speed away. Be able to move through that sand so much easier if you wasn't wearing freaking dress shoes and a three-piece.
And he's gonna get his slacks all sandy.
Really is.
They're burned worse than the fisherman was. I think it's about time we did something about this.
Gotta close the beach.
Am I off your list of suspects?
Somebody's got
Earlier
to do
today,
something.
I had a
about
long
this.
talk with Washington.
You're the person who does something.
You were the topic of conversation. Am I to be shot at sunrise? They told me to cooperate with you. You could have floored me. They put you on this case, too, and didn't even tell me about it. I thought they would eventually. Apparently, they wanted two completely indifferent investigations of this. One from a scientific point of view and one from a gumshoe, government style. Pacific College of Oceanography.
PCO,
You know,
that could
this
be
spear
anything.
may be our first real break. Kind of narrows the field down, doesn't it? Yes, it seems so. I think I'll take it down to the crime lab and have them dust it for prints. How about you going down to the college and picking up some diving equipment? I checked with Professor King, and he said the night watchman would give it to us. Okay. What do you say we make our dive about 6 a.m.?
Yeah. Bill, I made a test dive yesterday. It's pretty grim. There's a shaft of radioactive light down there. Touch it and you're dead. And if that isn't enough, there's some kind of an animal standing guard over it.
Then there really
You
is
see
a
this
basis
shaft?
for these phantom stories?
I'm afraid there is.
This'll take care of it. And I won't miss.
Now, my principal interest is the light ray. Now, you will have to draw whatever it is down there away so I can get a good look at that light. And Bill, now, it isn't going to be easy or pleasant.
Neither is this.
Ooh.
I'm sorry, this cop is going diving. I don't know.
Is the ocean my jurisdiction? Gosh, yeah, I guess it is. I guess I have to.
So when that couple ran out on the beach, it was really shelly or rocky, but then we see shots of the beach and it's just sand.
True, yeah. So many divers. It's
I know.
Like, the monster hasn't attacked anybody out of the water. They can just,
Purely aquatic, dude. Oh, the shit. In the thing.
He's gonna die.
Take it out.
Hey, Bill. What happened? Still want to go in? Feel all right?
Okay.
Let's go ahead and go diving. I'm ready.
Just mildly poisoned.
I'm short of breath, but go ahead and let's get this tank going. Get me in. What has he got? Some kind of waterproof Geiger counter? Whoa. Hello. Oh, see, this is some Jawsy shit. If it turns around and screams.
I don't know how I feel about the big open eye on the monster.
Ah.
He killed it.
Got him.
All right.
God, they make it look so easy getting in that boat. I feel like it'd be way harder. And that is gonna take us to our second break. 2/3 of the way through The Phantom from 10,000 Leagues. What do we think so far, Evan?
I think every time I see those boats, just so like how easy they look to flip over.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, we already saw the monster tip that couple.
It's happened twice now, hasn't it?
Yeah, I guess in the beginning, that one guy, he tipped him too. Just got
We're
your
out
boat.
here in the most tippable boats.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're all in the pretty much the same terrible boat, which is, of course, it's going to get flipped by this very clumsy looking sea monster.
Yeah, because like I could believe that this monster would flip that boat over, but anything bigger, I don't know.
With those little arms,
Yeah,
not going to happen.
This,
Not gonna happen.
do they call it a sea serpent?
He called it that at one point. But it's funny, they really haven't necessarily nailed down what exactly. There's some connection, or they think there's some connection between the radiation and whatever the monster could be.
They don't know who made this monster.
They don't realize that the scientist that they're all investigating is a mad scientist.
Yeah, the mad scientist is calling from inside the house.
Yeah, the mad marine biologist, whatever the hell this guy is. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting, like it's For a sea monster movie, you know, it's engaging, it's keeping my attention. The monster is present enough, and cool underwater photography. Like, what, those are the boxes that need to be checked for an aquatic horror movie.
Yeah.
And so I think they do that. But this really came at probably like the peak of sea creature monster movies, creature features. The one that really kicked off the subgenre, if you want to call it that, was the first trailer we saw in our pre-roll tonight. The one I get confused. The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. And so that was like the first giant monster creature feature sea serpent aquatic horror movie, whatever. Yeah. And the monster in that movie was stop motion animated. The animator Ray Harryhausen was like inspired by King Kong and worked with some of those guys like later in their careers and used the same techniques to make all these. Like, he went on to do a lot of action epics and more action adventure things that used a lot of stop motion, but he did a couple science fiction. I think he did like a sci-fi movie where he even did like flying saucers that are stop motion animated. So yeah, he was a really cool guy. And he might have been involved with the effects for the trailer. One of the trailers we're going to see for our break, which is entitled "It Came from Beneath the Sea." Believe it. It! Exclamation point. Came from beneath the sea. I think that's what it's called. And I think it's a stop motion monster, so I think Harryhausen did it. But this one's more of like a tentacled sea creature versus some underwater dinosaur or something, you know.
Squid.
Yeah, more of a squid. And it came out the same year as tonight's movie, 1955. Another sea creature monster movie came out in 1955, which we'll see the trailer for during the break, is actually part of a franchise. It's the sequel to Creature from the Black Lagoon, Revenge of the Creature. And, you know, I guess this bridges the gap a little bit because this is man in a monster suit. That's what the Creature from the Black Lagoon movies, you know, it's a pretty decent monster. But, you know, the second movie, it kind of strains for plot a little bit. They take the creature out of the Black Lagoon and put him in an aquarium in Florida. And
well, you know what they say, you can take the creature out of the lagoon. You can't take the lagoon.
Well, he proved that to all those idiots down in Florida. And it's, you know, I guess it's funny because Jaws 3 ends up being like a kind of a similar thing where they end up, you know, with a great white shark exhibit in SeaWorld, and then
what could go wrong?
Well, yeah, a baby great white shark exhibit. Surely the mama shark won't come looking for her baby and break in to SeaWorld. So plot is more interesting than I've always had a soft spot for Jaws 3, but it's funny, like, you know, aquatic horror movies, the sequels are never as well received as the originals, and that's Revenge of the Creature. And it's one of those I've seen Creature from the Black Lagoon a million times. Have maybe seen Revenge of the Creature once or twice. I've seen the third movie, Creature Walks Among Us, many times, and I really like that one.
Okay, so it gets really good in the third.
Yeah, they take it in a different direction. This time they go to the Black Lagoon, find another one of those creatures, but they decide for whatever ungodly reason to turn this creature, not try to turn him human, but not try to civilize him, but like they give him a surgery where they take away his gills and they get rid of the webbing on his fingers, and they like try to humanize him and put clothes on him, but he can't be caged. He's an animal.
That's really wild. Why would they do that?
It is a wild movie. I encourage, if you've only gotten through the first 2 movies in the series and you're like, this sucks, then you got to see A Creature Walks Among Us, because it's just a kind of a bonkers, strange movie. And for some reason, that's one that I've also always enjoyed. You know, the third movies in a franchise, you're really straining for the, you're getting out there. You're willing to try some things. So, it's weird the way that Jaws, and that's what Jaws could have used. Jaws could have used a mad scientist in the sequels. At some point, you introduce a mad scientist who's trying to do something to this shark, some kind of experiment.
He clones an even bigger great white, and then Jaws has to fight. Jaws is the good guy in this one.
It could have been a huge box office success. They really missed out on
Hire me.
Universal, hire him. Hire me. We work cheap. And we do good work. Yeah, so I guess 1955 was kind of a peak year for these sea creature monster movies, because they really did wane after this. But so we're gonna see the trailers for It Came From Beneath the Sea and Revenge of the Creature. And then when we come back, we'll get into the exciting conclusion of The Beast from The Phantom from 10,000 Leagues. So stick around. We'll be right back.
A tidal wave of terror engulfs the screen as a raging monster from the dawn of creation attacks the world of man.
Here, gentlemen, is your villain. It would take an enormous number of those to disable a Navy submarine.
Or just one of enormous size, Mr. Chase.
I see they picked an atom sub to go out and fight this thing. Why is that, Commander?
Could be because of the new electronic equipment, or her speed.
Was she ordered back here from Hawaii just for that?
That's right. Think it's as bad as that, do you? I think we're lucky she's here.
The H-bomb blasted it loose from the depths of the Pacific. But not even the H-bomb can kill it.
Unknown object coming this way. Entering minefield. Stand by, number 38, mine. Fire. Go up. Ready, number 12, south. Fire. Coming on through.
That's the end of our first line of defense, Miss Joyce.
Then the red alert.
West Coast reels under Holocaust as the men and weapons of the atomic age battle to the death against the ageless monster of the deep.
Creature could be the first man to scientifically study a creature that, by all the laws of nature, should have died 250,000 years ago.
They dared to bring him back alive from his haunts deep in the jungles of the Amazon. They dared to put him on display with the other denizens of the deep, while thousands came to marvel and wonder.
You know, I pity him sometimes. He's so alone. The only one of his kind in the world.
If anything goes wrong, you head straight for the surface, you understand?
All right, let's go.
They dared to study him, to probe him, to tempt him with the lure of a woman's beauty, thinking that mere chains could hold in check the primeval forces that surged and roiled within this strange being from the dawn of time.
Hey, look! He broke the chain!
And we are back. So that was the trailers for It Came Beneath the Sea and Revenge of the Creature. And as you can see, they took him out of the lagoon. And
so when you said Revenge of the Creature, I thought that you were saying that as short for Revenge
of the Creature from the Black Lagoon. But no, it's just Revenge of the Creature.
So it's not like Revenge of the Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
No, which thank the fuck God for that, because I hate those stupid ass titles. No offense if you like those movies, but those titles are the Planet of the Apes.
Just
like we
make
get
it
it
longer.
So yeah, so the only through line with the titles is the word creature, the creature. Creature from the Black Lagoon, Revenge of the Creature, Creature Walks Among Us.
And then Shape of Water.
And then Shape of Water is, yeah, it's technically
Kind of an
Creature
unofficial
4.
sequel.
Yeah, exactly. Well, technically it'd be like a prequel, so that would make the original, that would make that Creature 2, and that would make Revenge of the Creature, Creature 3, and that would make Creature Walks Among Us, Creature 4. So just a little.
The Close Encounters is
actually Jaws 2. So that would make Jaws 2, Jaws 3. Yeah. But it's funny because the underwater shots in tonight's movie and like all the divers and stuff really, to me, evokes Creature from the Black Lagoon, the original.
Okay.
There's a lot of diving and swimming and underwater scenes.
Is it the lushness of
Right.
the underwater shots?
Right, with a lot of seaweed, and then the creature will just be there lurking. Like some of
Yeah.
these shots where the monster hasn't even been moving. Creature of the Black Lagoon is honestly like that at some points. And I don't think we saw the part in the trailer. I think we came in here a little bit later, but there's certain shots you could see in the trailer, but definitely when you watch the movie, where the creature's swimming and you can see the air bubbles pop up out of like the back of the suit or the head of the suit. And it's always kind of a strange, like uncanny thing because you're like, well, where's that coming from? You're like, oh, well, it's a suit.
Right.
Spoils the magic just a little bit, but
breaks your immersion a little bit.
a little bit, but and I told Evan during the break that the actor in the suit, Rico Browning, I think he held his breath, but I also think there might have been times where they were able to rig up some kind of air hose or something that would get him air while he swam around. But I mean, he was having to do a lot of swimming for very long takes. So I don't even know how they pulled this off. Yeah, again, I wonder if they had some kind of air system or rigging, or was she just holding her breath? Because again, the actress Norma Hansen, she at one time held a record for a depth record for like diving.
Wow.
I guess in like the ocean. I guess like
pretty cool.
Holding her breath. So obviously she would have the stamina, but you also wonder, did they, because it's a big enough suit that you could maybe have some kind of little oxygen tank, or you could probably find a way to rig up a hose. So I don't know.
They built it on top of one of those old-timey ones with the big circular, like, diving helmet.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, apparently her and her husband had made a lot of modifications to like dive helmets or did some kind of work in that field, so don't put it past them. But yeah, so I mean, this is, you know, we're about to get into the exciting conclusion of, I have to read it from my sheet now or I'll get it wrong. Tried, have been so confident and I've just fucked up multiple times.
The Beast.
The Phantom from 10,000 Leagues. And, but this has been like through and through aquatic horror, I think.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, we've gotten a lot of water. We've gotten a lot of intrigue.
Oh my God, way more intrigue than I was expecting.
Maybe a little too much for a monster movie with this monster.
Yeah, I think so.
But, you know, we'll see how it pays off.
They're definitely setting
It's sat a while. It's not really cold anymore.
It's not cold. It's...
Yeah. You don't have to finish it.
Oh, I want to. I'm
It
Evan.
won't hurt
I
my
am.
feelings.
It's not that bad. I just, it's so strong. I'm just, and I do kind of appreciate that every once in a while, I feel like I've like swallowed too much seawater, so
Yeah.
it's keeping me in the. You know, my voice is hoarse coming in.
Right.
So this is almost like
It's
gargling
soothing.
some salt water. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually helpful. So I'm gonna finish it. But I appreciate your laxness on the finishing of the cocktail. Appreciate that I have your blessing. Anything else before we get into the exciting conclusion of The Phantom from 10,000 Leagues, Evan?
So they shot the thing, right?
They did, but they didn't wait around to find out if they hit it or not, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, or do harpoons even work against this radioactive monster?
Yeah, it just burns up the...
I think what they need is, I mean, you know, there's other ocean life down there getting irradiated. Maybe we get an atomic shark.
Atomic shark. Atomic seahorse.
Oh, dude, atomic seahorse? Now there's a movie.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this, when they do show a profile shot of this creature, it almost, the way that it has the things coming off of like the spine looks almost like a seahorse, but
It kind of reminds me of like a lizard.
Yeah. Well, now I think you're just tainted by the poster and the little lizard tongue coming out of the monster on the poster. But it does have some kind of little tongue out of that like hingeable jaw, so you can see that. I can definitely see the shape of the head. Well, turtle, lizard, pretty close. I don't know. Is biology where you learn about the different classifications of species?
Yeah.
I don't do science. This has been a chore for me to. No, I'm just kidding. This has been a lot of fun. All right. Well, on that note, we're gonna go ahead and get into the exciting conclusion of The Phantom from 10,000 Leagues right now. That was crazy, man. Did you see that?
I'm picking up King and his assistant. What for? The poison in that mask came from the
Totally
college,
shot
and
that.
so did the spear that was fired at you.
So we can prove a charge of attempted murder. That's not what we're after. We want to know who created that thing and how to destroy it. Don't you understand, Bill? It's the knowledge, the know-how that went into making that ray. That's the real danger.
It all ties together. We were getting too nosy, so King tried to get rid of both of us.
Maybe it was George. Maybe both of them. The secretary could be tied into it for all we know.
Now, roll her out. We were, well, talking. She tells me she can prove that King's
We were
behind
well
this whole
talking.
thing.
Prove it? How?
I rigged up a set of keys for her to get into his laboratory. She tells me all the proof I need is right in that room.
I hope she's right.
We'll know tonight.
It can't be her. I think I've got a shot with her.
And she's in front of the harpoon guns again. Come on. All right, check off.
Would you say she's asking for it?
I think so. And now he's in the room. Yeah. Harpoon gun right through the skull.
One of the spear guns is missing.
I saw King take one out yesterday.
Spear gun.
That's odd.
Not a harpoon
I
gun.
thought I saw you carrying one when you left last night.
You see too much, Ethel. You should wear blinkers. Is he in yet?
No.
I've got to get in there today.
Break the door down.
He mustn't know, Ethel. This is important to me, as important as staying alive.
I can't help you.
What do the Bee Gees have to do with this?
This is serious. I'm in trouble. You like that, don't you?
I've too much trouble of my own to worry about yours.
Morning.
Good morning. Dad told me that you and Mr. Grant made a dive.
Yes.
I'm glad I learned about it after it was all over.
I phoned the college. They told me your father was at home.
He was terribly upset when he heard the news. The boy, the one in the boat, he was one of his students.
Oh, that's a shame. I'd like to talk to your father.
Was that another subplot they had to cut from the movie? This student of his that found out too much.
I could see it.
Too many, just too much. You gotta cut. We don't have the budget for this.
You wish to speak to me?
Well, yes. I thought you might be interested in the results of the dive we made this morning.
The very fact that you're here now tells me that your phantom, as well as your light ray, is a myth, a hoax.
They both exist. The light ray, as you call it, is very definitely atomic and deadly. The only reason I'm alive is because I made sure I didn't come in contact with it myself.
It's all too preposterous for serious thought. Phantom, marine mutations, death rays, utter nonsense. I'm afraid, Doctor, that you are the victim of an overwhelming imagination. Good day, Dr. Stevens.
What kind of spy is she hanging out on the beach with her giant umbrella? Gonna blow away and impale herself.
You don't look well, George. Or is it just that I don't find you attractive anymore?
Damn.
Nothing's going right, Wanda. I don't know if I can get what they want.
Knife right to the heart.
They won't like it. And when they don't like something, they're liable to be a little extreme in showing it. They might even come to the same conclusion that I came to last night. That you're of no use to us.
Last night?
Ethel, King's secretary, was crying your little heart out to Mr. Grant. I saw them.
Government man?
I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I'm pretty sure I caught your name.
She knows enough about me to...
Evidently, she hasn't told him what she knows yet.
What do I do, Wanda?
Use a spear gun.
I know what I'd do. I'll be here tomorrow, too. But don't come unless you have something for me.
Well, the actress playing Wanda is actually the mother of reality TV show Dr. Drew Pinsky. So, a fun fact for you. Bless you.
You're working very late tonight, aren't you, Ethel?
I had some work to clean up. Good night.
Wow. Cleared out fast. She's just trying not to get killed. She knows it's coming. Uh-oh. Somebody's been messing around in my lab.
My bubbling flask. It's not bubbling.
Uh-oh, you better get out.
What are you doing?
Why, of course she left something, right? My keys, my keys. Oh, he has her keys.
Ethel, I believe you were looking for these.
Look over at that harpoon
He's in
gun.
danger.
The spear gun. God dang it. I'm gonna go out and do a little target practice. Okay, she needed her keys. Why?
She's walking.
Just walking home on the beach. She about to get double speared.
It's just shooting everybody now.
Oh, dang. Well, was he involved or not?
Dad, what's wrong?
Oh, I feel so old, so tired, defeated. Dr. Stevens, I want to apologize to you for my rudeness this afternoon. I've had a few very trying days.
Of course, I understand. Maybe I better leave.
Come in.
Professor King?
That's right.
Were you at the college tonight?
Yes, for a while.
Mind telling me when you left?
About an hour ago, I think. What's this all about?
Your secretary, Miss Hall, was found murdered a short while ago.
Ethel.
She left the college. A few minutes later, you followed. That it?
I don't grasp the significance of that fact. Do you think that I would take a human life?
Yes.
Willfully, deliberately?
She just as well as told me you were going to kill her.
I didn't mean it.
Oh, you know, everybody says that to their secretary. You know, like, you messed up those copies, I could kill you.
Not yet.
Doesn't mean I'm actually going to kill her.
The cop made a pretty good point. You have a wall of spear guns. The thing about if somebody dies from a harpoon, like, it's not very hard to connect those dots.
Nope.
We just gonna sit here all day?
There isn't much else we can do till the sheriff gets here with his report.
No, it's just like I killed Ethel myself.
What?
I rigged the keys for her to get into King's laboratory.
Oh, yeah, that's right, you did.
That's
it's
it.
Your fault.
That's what we ought to do. Get into that room of his.
Well, assuming that it was King, which is something I'm not ready to do, he could have destroyed everything in his laboratory if he found Ethel in there. His equipment, his notes. Don't you see, Bill, it's what's in his mind, or George's, that's important.
Notes? Wait a minute. Ethel gave me this at the restaurant. She copied it from
Restaurant.
King. Mean anything to you?
Oh, we solved your murder for you, Mr. Grant. Same spear gun fired both shafts. The one that tried to kill Doc here and the one that got Miss Hall. Same fingerprints over both of them. They were George Thomas's, King's assistant. The dumbest killer you ever saw. Left the spear gun in his car. Same prints all over it. And to clinch it, he didn't come home last night.
I guess I'd better put in for retirement. I sure had this one figured wrong.
I called the college to tell the old man he was in the clear, but no one answered.
He's probably at home. I think I better go tell him. Tell the old man I'm sorry.
I kind of have an idea where we can get George. Want to come along? Might be able to use some help.
Come on.
God, this freaking canned romance, dude. Wait, who's she walking with? Her dad?
I'd forgotten how pleasant it could be, just walking.
You see, it's not so hard to take a day off. We'll do it again.
I doubt whether the trap would permit it.
Gotta get back to the lab.
Trap?
Knowledge sometimes has steel jaws, like a trap, and it can either destroy the hunter or the hunted.
You frighten me when you talk like that.
And I promise not to. Oh, here comes your Dr. Stevens.
I have some news that I think will interest you.
About Ethel's murder?
The sheriff has proof it was George.
I knew it wasn't you.
Why would he want her dead?
It's possible that Ethel found out that, well, he had to silence her.
Why the gloom? Dad's just been acquitted of murder.
Lois, I'd like to talk to your father alone.
Why?
It'll only take a few minutes, dear. You better run on home. I'll follow you there. You'd better go, please.
Ethel gave this to Mr. Grant. She said she copied it from your notes. Intensity increase readings of the light shaft. You called it HEF.
Hydro Energy Force. You're quite right. There is a uranium deposit on the ocean floor.
How did you activate it?
That, Dr. Stevens, is my knowledge and mine alone.
But it must be destroyed.
It started with a simple animal experiment. One of yours, Doctor.
I thought so.
And I advanced it way beyond the scope of your imagination. Didn't I?
Don't tell me how you created it. Tell me how to destroy it.
I don't know that I want to.
But, Doctor, you're not free to do as you wish. 5 people have died as a result of that thing.
You're quite right. But just give me 1 hour to think about it. It's a decision that's not easy to make.
I have no other choice.
Maybe when a few more people die.
I'll meet you here.
I just want to squeeze one more murder
Doctor,
in.
stay with Lois. She'll need you.
Oh no.
Yeah, real Sophie's choice here.
Yeah. Yeah, her, the spy. You can tell just by looking at her she's a spy.
What else would she be doing here?
She's the only one out here.
I know Dad's in some kind of trouble and needs me. I know it.
But your father asked you to wait here.
I can't. We've got to find him. Do you know where he might be?
Well, he possibly could have gone to the lab.
Well, then I'm going then.
Now, wait a minute.
Do I have to go alone, or are you coming with me?
Perhaps you're right. We can't do any good here just waiting. Let's go.
How's he gonna flip this boat?
Okay, we finally see the shaft of light. What? What the hell?
Wow, that monster's got a radioactive touch, I guess.
Jeez. Well, does that change your mind, Doctor?
What the fuck? It kind of came out of nowhere.
I just need one more hour. I just need to think about it.
What happened? That ship had just exploded.
Lois, I've got to find your father.
You can't mean that Dad had anything to do with this.
I haven't got time to talk.
Ted?
I've gotta get back to the lab. Yep, just destroy it all. Oh man, somebody's gonna have to clean this up and right on cue.
I quit.
I'm not cleaning that up. You clean it up. I know clean. I know clean.
Professor King. Professor King. Mr. King.
You may come in and clean up now, Andy.
It's about time. What in the world is that?
What the fuck?
Do you mean to say that's one of God's creatures, Professor?
No, Andy, that's one of man's follies, and I pray God there'll never be another one.
Get rid of it.
So that's what finally changed his mind, was that boat blowing up. This isn't a great scientific achievement. What?
On your feet.
Got him with the uppercut.
Show up here sooner or later. What do you want of me?
Just a confession to Ethel Hall's murder.
We found a spear gun in your car. Ballistic tests and fingerprints pretty well tie you into it,
You
mister.
idiot.
You weren't very clever about it.
Neither was your girlfriend, Wanda.
No, I guess I wasn't. I should have learned more of my teacher. He killed in wholesale lots.
What are you talking about?
Professor King, he planted that thing out in the ocean. What's he mean, Bill?
I think I know. Can you handle him yourself, Sheriff?
He's not handcuffed to anything. He's
No.
just holding-
Oh, well, the other guy, was he?
No, he's just holding the other, like, side of the handcuffs.
Where's Dad?
He left a few minutes ago, Miss King.
Did he say where he was going?
No, he just busted up the place and left in a hurry.
Why destroy all this? His experiments, his life's work.
I'm afraid only your father can explain that.
But I still don't understand. Do you know why he did this?
I think I do.
What a mess. King?
Yeah, I left a few minutes ago. Probably headed for the beach. We're on our way there now.
Let's take my car. Come on, we can hurry.
Back to work.
Oh my god. Who is this? The professor? Yeah. He's somebody. It's up to him. He created this monster. He brought it into this world. He's gonna take it out. Oh yeah.
Did they have motorboats back then? Is that like a budget thing?
That's a great question.
Like everybody's.
I
on
think
using
it's
these motorboats.
Evan. I think it's definitely a budget thing. I mean, they probably had like other, maybe like a boat that they used to like have the equipment on or be on, but then yeah, I can tell if they were shooting that from shore or from a boat.
Yeah. It's just like, you know, you're making an aquatic film. Everybody's
really high quality close up, extreme close up of the clock.
I can absolutely see getting tangled up in the monster costume. The fish. Get blown up.
Oh no.
Swam too close. Ring of light. Not gonna make it.
I'm gonna cuddle you to death.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Smile, you son of a bitch. Yeah, this is just Jaws.
If I'd only known in time, perhaps I could have stopped him. I know he meant this power to be used to help humanity, not destroy it.
I'm sure he did. And he paid for his mistake. Nature has many secrets that man mustn't disturb. And this was one of them.
I know.
They're just all like assuming he's dead.
Only he too could have understood.
How would they know?
I'm sure he does, Lois.
It's probably a pretty safe bet.
That's why he took his secret with him.
Of course, they're walking away holding hands because why not? It's got to be some kind of hope or happy ending, you know. That was the exciting conclusion of The Phantom from 10,000 Leagues. What do we think, Evan?
You know, it really wasn't bad.
No.
Like there's I'm trying to think of some criticism, but really other than, you know, the suit's kind of cheap.
Yeah, I mean, really, there was enough going on plot-wise.
Yeah. Maybe a little too much for my taste.
yeah.
I think it could have used maybe a little.
Could have been about 10 minutes shorter.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
Yeah, I mean, even still, it's funny to me that, I mean, you do see similarities with other aquatic horror movies. You know, I guess they all kind of have deal with similar themes,
Yeah.
but you know, it's funny here really coming from the scientific angle and the idea of, I mean, we never really found out what this scientist thought he was doing that was helping anybody, creating this mutant monsters and trying to protect this uranium. It didn't, you know.
It's like a Scooby-Doo villain.
It is kind of
motivation.
ridiculous. It's funny because the writer is the brother-in-law of one of the guys who owned the distribution company. Sam Arkoff's brother-in-law, that's right, Lou Rusoff. And he wrote a lot of that company's like early horror films and Roger Corman stuff. He wrote the movie that tonight's film was on a double bill with, Day the World Ended. He also wrote Apache Woman, which was a Corman Western. It Conquered the World, which was a Corman sci-fi film. And he went on to produce the first Beach Party film that AIP did in '63. That was his last movie, and he passed away.
End on a bang.
And with a, yeah, man. I mean, the Beach Party movies,
Kicked off a whole craze.
Oh, it did. It was short-lived. I mean, what, the Beach Party craze was probably about 8-ish years of those movies.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, not bad. I mean, it's all exploitation at the end. That's what these guys were really good at, exploitation. So what we got tonight was a cheaper version of like the first trailer that we saw tonight. The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, that's a studio film. Creature from the Black Lagoon and its sequels, that's a studio film. So tonight, like, it was very much an indie film, but it was interesting to see, like, again, like, some of those underwater shots were very, like, I love the ones that were following right behind them, because if they would have played them like creature POV shots, it would have been way more like kind of ahead of its time.
Yeah.
But even still, those shots were like cool and lend a little bit of like, I mean, again, we have, I think throughout the 94 plus movies that we've watched on this show, we've realized how valuable camera movement is.
It is.
So in the water, it's much easier. You have to move it. So I think that just by virtue of that, even, and I don't know, I don't know the cinematographer who shot the out of water stuff was the same cinematographer who shot the in water stuff. But the cinematographer for tonight's movie, he shot a movie later on called Ring of Terror, which we'll actually be watching later this season. And so be on the lookout for that. That was the one cool thing that I thought he did. I would guess that was the cinematographer, but you know, Gaffer Grip. I mean, probably more one of those guys. But when the light came in through that was a cool.
It was a cool shot,
and that shot was also moving too. Yeah. So it was.
They tried. I appreciate that they tried the bit where it's got the shadow of Ethel.
Oh yeah, that was like pretty hilarious. It was. It was so obvious. Like, it. Like if she would have like, I don't know if she would have stepped into it, if that would have made it better or worse. But the way it was just like she was standing there,
huge, right
giant, big shadow. Yeah, it's like all right,
a little artificial.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it was pretty artificial. But you know, I mean, I appreciate artificiality, but this movie was pretty straightforward for the most part.
I mean, we totally called it with the harpoon, like they.
Oh yeah, that they were Chekhoving her the whole time, having her stand.
Sure
how many shots was she framed in front of the harpoon guns? Because I didn't give away that she was gonna get shot at some point. It was coming from a mile away. I think we all saw it. Yeah, I mean, some other little like cast crew notes. The lead for tonight's film, Kent Taylor, who was playing Ted, he wanted to go be in a bunch of Al Adamson movies, who's another B horror movie, an exploitation filmmaker, and he was in movies like Blood of Ghastly Horror, Satan's Sadist, and Brain of Blood, and also for movies from other filmmakers like The Mighty Gorga, which I think is about a gorilla or a giant gorilla, and Brides of Blood. So, you know, as he got older, he just kept appearing in SCHLOCK. But a lot of these, the people involved in tonight's movie, this was it. Like, you know, where their career ended shortly after, and they didn't really have anything too big or prominent to their names. So, but yeah, I mean, this was good. I mean, this was, you know, a pretty solidly made film. I mean, you know, obviously there are things we can criticize, but compared to some of the other movies that we've even watched this season.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's an indie movie. Like it's not bad for what it is.
No, not at all. So yeah, that was The Phantom from 10,000 Leagues. And next week, we're going to be taking a little bit more of a trip to I was gonna say that we were gonna be taking more of a prehistorical trip, but that's not entirely accurate because it's a film that's contemporary to the time that it was shot. But it does involve a caveman.
So a caveman's taking a trip to the present.
To the present. Yes, this Friday. Next Friday, thank you. We're going to be watching Ega from 1962. And Ega is I haven't seen it, but it somehow involves a caveman coming back into modern times and just kind of wreaking havoc. And it's an indie kind of B exploitation movie that's also trying to get in on the drive-in market and kind of exploiting the teenage, I guess, what's that word? Just the teenage audience, because it's actually stars, the star of the movie, not playing the caveman, is someone we've seen on this show before. Back last season, I think it was either last season or 2 seasons ago when we watched The Sadist, which starred Arch Hall Jr.
Yeah.
I think this was the year before The Sadist, or no, man, it was after. I'm not sure. I think it was after. And it's a little bit more, instead of playing the creepy villain, he plays more, your teen idol. He's like your squeaky clean teen, riding around on his dune buggy and hanging out with this girl and singing songs with his band. And but then there's a caveman on the loose. So it's a really dumb, ridiculous,
that sounds
constantly featured on lists of like some of the worst movies of all time. The caveman is played by Richard Kyle. I'll figure out how to say it by next week. Who was the villain Jaws in the James Bond movies? Okay. Who had the metal teeth?
Yeah.
And he's also the big guy in Happy Gilmore, who's like, the villain has to hit a golf ball off of his shoe. Yeah, has a pretty memorable face. So when we see him next Friday, you'll probably like, oh, I've probably seen that guy somewhere before. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So you can join us next Friday at 9 p.m. on Twitch, because we'll still be. We got one more day after that. Then that Saturday will be good. But you can catch that on Twitch next Friday at 9 p.m. EGA. And of course, we will be back with our mini-sodes next Wednesday. We took this week off because I had some scheduling stuff, but I'm back on my usual schedule this week. So we will be getting into, maybe we'll double up. I don't know. We'll see. We'll be getting to the next chapter or chapters of the Phantom Empire.
I think you mean the Beast Empire?
The Beast Empire. Thank you. Yes, and that's been a lot of fun again, getting our Western thing on, getting our cowboy saddling up so you can settle
underground sci-fi city on.
Yeah. I mean, again, really, it's funny how as the show has gone on, we've really sci-fi has just kind of
taken over
a little bit.
Yeah, maybe we'll get back on the surface eventually.
But for now, hey, we're happy to be diving down in the depths of public domain sci-fi horror. There's still some horror to it. We'll give it that caveat. So of course you can catch all this on Twitch, and we're over here and on the socials at Scream Stream Show. Of course, if you want to catch any of our past episodes, you can go find those over on our YouTube page at Scream Stream Live. Our channel's still up. You can go check everything out. We just can't post for 2 weeks, but we're a week through, so we got one more that will be good. And of course, I hadn't been able to post the spine-tingling tale that Evan's part 2 of the Repair of Reputations. I thought about live streaming it to Twitch, and that way it would just be on Twitch for a week, so maybe I'll do that. But then when we can be back on YouTube, that'll be posted, and then I'll have a story that'll be posted right after that, because I will have that done when I'm supposed to have it done. And it will, regardless of whether I can post it, it will be done on Monday.
We'll have it up.
So we will have them up eventually. But of course, be on the lookout for our spine-tingling tales. And we'll be in our 5th film next week of the Summer of SCHLOCK, so we're just burning our way through the summer, man.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Summer's coming and going.
It's coming and going real fast, as it does. So we're going to soak it up. We're going to enjoy it for the next few weeks, and we'll be we'll be kicking it in the sun and the sand for the next for the foreseeable future. I designed
indefinitely.
It's summer all season. So And if you want to follow us on the socials, you can find me over on Twitter at Spakenstein, and Mr. Evan Sink is on Twitter and Instagram at Caligari Cursed. Anything before we sign off tonight, Evan?
So I guess the lesson tonight is if your boss has a wall of weapons in the office, maybe that's a sign to find a new job.
Yeah, it's a big red flag right there. Maybe don't take that. Until next week, sweet screams, everybody.
And to all a good fright.